air. Once again, we're back. Welcome to the show. Let's look at this. Where we say the things to help dispel inferiority and regain our confidence in our authority. We want to open up all eyes wide shut. Give it to you in raw, unfiltered, uncut. From mental health to black wealth, we dispel indoctrination by having the hard conversations. Sometimes you may dispute, except the ones you shouldn't refute. We must continue to buy black, get our dollars and communities back, inspired by the late Sarah Davis. I am your host, Dr. K. Wayne, co-host, Minister P. My other co-host is out, but she will return. Our topic for today is confusion and hope. Minister
Hello,
P, welcome.
everyone. I want to say peace to you. This is Minister P, Peace and Reality. And so I want to kick it back over to our host.
Welcome. So, Minister P, as we get started on this topic, what would be your thoughts on hope, confusion, and hope?
Well, Dr. K, before we start, I'd like to give a big up to our Black community, our Black beautiful brothers and our beautiful sisters for the struggle that we are in and how far we are come so far and the struggle that we have ahead of us. We're doing a magnificent job. But to address our topic today, confusion and hope, first let me give the definition of confusion. The Webster Dictionary says, confusion is a state of psychological involving mental and emotional disturbance. It is to make unclear. It is to bring disorder to make something unknown. Even the word, the definition confusion is something that no one wants to be involved in. Confusion brings about nothing but chaos and discord. And we can't afford to have that. But we see it all the time in our society. That's the thing about it. We're looking all around and there's so much confusion, but we're looking for a direction now. And we're thankful that people like you, Dr. K, and others that have a program or a format can produce direction, which takes away from our state of confusion.
Yeah, that is a much needed topic to be talked about as reference to how we see ourselves in a confused state, and then looking at the process of hope, hoping that something is coming along to make a change in the process, that we will be rescued, we will be saved, we will be pulled out of a tight position. In as many type positions that we find ourselves in today, as reference to as our previous topics talked about, economic state. Economic state allows us to be in so many type positions, so where we use the word hope profusely, and in that process, that some of us become confused.
Right.
If we don't educate ourselves properly in those two areas, we will continue to be using these terms instead of using the terms of saying, well, hey, I have a problem, and how do I solve my problem? That's one of our biggest issues. We tend to roll into these confusion and hope cliches and start reference to it is what it is, or hey, it's not my problem. Now here's it, you say it's not your problem, but then when you have a problem, sometimes you don't move to a process where you need to resolve your problems. So these cliches kick in place, and we revert back to being in the mind, being confused, and then in a confused state, we spew out of our mouths. Well, I hope this gets better,
Exactly.
which is just a term now that we're using based on somebody's repeating that term and regurgitating it out to you. That's the only process. That's the only way you learn these terms, of course, is somebody repeating them. If you don't actually pick up some form of a dictionary somewhere and use it in the right, proper manner, then that term becomes more of a cliche.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because it becomes overused and therefore it becomes devalued. But where there is confusion, what brings us out of the disparity of confusion is the word hope. And that's what I like about the word hope. Um, Let me give the definition of the word hope. The word hope is to wish for something with expectation of it being fulfilled. It is a confidence, it is an expectation that lifts you higher from a place that you are right now. So therefore, when we do have this state of confusion that we are just so embroiled in right now in our society on a day-to-day basis as we look around, there is a light at the end of that tunnel, and that's what elevates us from a mental aspect. It elevates us to an expectation of, listen, it's going to get better. I have a acronym for the word hope, and it means having options presently expressed. So when you feel as though you don't have any type of option at all, but just to continue to go down the drain. Ken, I remember as a kid, my mother would send us inside the washroom for us to wash our hands. And we used to, wash our hands, and we used to watch the water go down the drain into it would form a little tornado, and then the water would just go down. So we would watch that. Well, that's what it feels like when there is no hope. When all around you there is nothing but confusion and things that you're not understanding. Like, for instance, we're looking at the news all the time, and we're seeing these senseless shootings and things that's happening over and over and over. It can put you in a state of confusion, but then it can lead to a state of mental hopelessness. And when you reach that state, that's just like that water going down that drain in the form of a tornado that's going straight down, and you just don't have any hope at all, man. And that's one of the things that we're trying to put back into the Black community. Hope, HOP, having the option presently expressed.
Right, and of course we know there's many other definitions to hope. They utilize, of course, again, that word is utilized pretty broad.
Yeah.
Hope, hoping and things. You ask the question, hoping for what? So when we look at some of the words that they roll into, you have aspiration, desire, wish, expectation, ambition, aim, plan. So of course, here's other definitions that they put out there in the atmosphere. Feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking for things to happen. So now we're talking about things happening. How do we position ourselves as far as things happening? There's reference to what's happening as we see today in our society. We see things happening as it would be a revolving door. We know that these events have happened before. It's just in the new time frame that we're in, we have technology to be able to see these events on a fly at the moment. Type of aspect. Stuff it happens, and boom, within seconds you're viewing. Whether or not somebody tells you months down the road that this has happened, but we know that it's surfaced based on the aspect of here comes a situation to where, oh, well, here's another event. Here's another event. So yeah, it's quite interesting how we use how we're utilizing that word hope.
Well, one of the things that when we use the word hope, we really do, Dr. K, we really do have to personalize it. We can't look too far from ourselves to bring that hope, which is a better level, a higher level, a full expectation of something good happening for us. We have to make that hope happen. I mean, we can't stand around and look at somebody else. Well, I hope that you help me hope. No, we have to personalize hope and become empowered, edified, and encouraged, and then gain knowledge, and which puts us in a higher position to gain power. Knowledge and power to me are the same things, because I'm able to do more things when I have knowledge. And so knowledge will put us in a state of hope, because if not, the same things like you just said earlier will continue to revolve. And we see them evolving. We see them evolving more and more and more. Listen, this racial divide in this country has not gone anywhere. Let's just wake up our eyes and see that it has not gone anywhere. And so if left to its own course, it will produce what it was meant to do, and that's produce hopelessness and confusion in a group of people. And
Well,
so
Minister P,
yeah.
let's talk about that. That term, just I keyed in on the term you just made, racial divide.
Yes.
So that word racial divide comes out of the term race, the word race. So we look at racial, we look at race. Now we have to go in depth into reference to that word itself, saying, okay, what is the point of the race? What race are we? Are we running a race? Are we in competition of a race? What type of race do we have going on? Is the question. I key in on it. We say racial divide.
Yeah.
To me, that leads to some point of confusion, and then leads to the point of we hoping that this racial divide would somehow come to an end.
That's it.
You see how that all connects?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it segues into each other in just that order. And in the race, you want to say, okay, the general term for it, race. Okay, we're in the human race, but see, there's different aspects and there's different levels of a race. There's an economic race. There's an educational race. Hey, look, there's a housing race. There's a medical race that's going on right now, and we're all involved in it. And we all did not start together at the starting line. So this is one of the things that we really have to wake up and see in this race that we are in. And it is a race. It is a race. To me, the end of the race would be equity and equality for all. So are we there? The answer is a huge no. Have restraints been placed on some of the participants in this race? Yes. We can just look at the Black community, and it feels like we're running a race with 100-pound leg weights on us. And so it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And we're seeing so many things bypass us. We're seeing so many runners go right past us. Some feel as though they're entitled to do that. Some have done it just because they know the secret that the 1% knows and all of that. So in this race that we're in, it's confusing. It's confusing because it's like we're running in different directions.
Right. Yeah, that could be that's where I say when I pinpoint the process of hope. We, in this confusion that we're in, you say we're running this race, and then we get confused on which way to even turn. Should I go this way? Should I go that way? Who should I get behind? Who should I pinpoint to be my leader? That goes into the whole leader process. Instead of becoming my own point of a leader, I tend to look out and say, well, who's the next leader? It's like we're searching, we're hoping for a leader. As we see today, we see these atrocities, if you will, happening within our society. So we're hoping now that a leader come forth to more or less rescue us, instead of us all becoming a leading charge into resolving an issue or a problem that we have. We looking at something, and the media has a big play in that as well. They'll see one particular individual doing something that perceived to be constructive, and it's quite odd how they put all the camera play on this person. Our antennas go up and say, "Ooh, I hope that's the person." In our mind, we think, "I hope that's the one. I hope that's the one." But instead of taking the initiative within ourselves to say, "Hey, well, no, if let's just say if what he's doing is right, if what he's doing is on a path of being something that is constructive value, wouldn't that be something that I can in turn pick myself up to do as well?"
Absolutely. And when you spell the word leaders, so it's Leaders. When you look at the word, the letter S, put self on there, because we ourselves are leaders. How did we become leaders? Well, we became leaders because it was a necessity. It was a necessity for each one of us to bring something to the table. We all are seated at the table, but what are we bringing to it? We have to bring something. So we have to bring something to this race. We have to bring something to leadership. We have to bring some knowledge, because time is out, man, to stand by and look at somebody else do it. You have to look at yourself and do it yourself. You have to examine yourself. What do you have inside of you that you can bring to the table that will put a meal on the table? I remember coming up, Ken, my mother would always make this great dinner. I mean, she would bring this, put it in the pot. She would bring that ingredient, put it in the pot, and next thing you know, we all sitting at the table with a great meal. But she had to bring things together for us to enjoy that, and that's what we, as individuals inside of our community, running this race, we must bring what we have, our talents, our time, and our treasure to this race, and put something in there. We are the leaders. We are. At my age, I refuse to look around. I have to look within myself and see what it is that I'm bringing. Leaders like yourself, what you are bringing, the platforms that you have, the platforms that other people have. We have to bring it together and form a unity group, man, that can push us even closer to our hope and expectations of social equality and equity.
Yeah, I well, I half and half agree. Don't half
Yeah,
agree and don't agree with you, Paul.
come
That
on.
word social is sometimes it bothers me, is reference to how it's used as well,
Yeah,
um, because we can use the confusion and hope together. We can say there's social confusion,
mm,
and we can say there's social hope. So
yeah,
we're
yeah.
looking at this social aspect of talking about coming together. Um,
Mm,
I perceive things as it happens. I look at nature, and as I look at it now, I look at nature as reference to it. So if we reference to a lion, right, Minister P, there's hierarchies of nature, right? And in nature, something that just we reference into animals, right? As far as nature right now, I'm gonna speak just on that level. So, in reference to an animal, the animal in itself has there's hierarchies of who is who trumps who, as reference to in society, or in that society of we'll say societal nature. We'll say in that aspect of if we're talking about in that context of as far as animals, the lion in itself, he tends to be the king of his domain. So as I look at it now, it seems like that we are forms of lions, and there are other groups that are form of lions, and it seems like that we're the only ones that's actually, as a lion being, or having, let's just say we have a lion shell on, right? We're the lion overall,
Right.
but then we went and put on a wildebeest costume to become the hunt and the prey
Right.
for the greater society who perceive themselves as lions as well. So it's almost there's like a competition that's happening out in this society that's giving us this and the way I see us more in a confused state to where we play a role here. Not saying that we should become the greater aspect of the lion to come and devour the rest of the lions. No, but if we're looking for this social platform that's flat,
Right.
everybody is standing in one unison.
Right. Equity.
Then, yeah, the equity part of it, which of course we don't see any, because again, that's would be a false sense of hope if somebody was to say, "Hell, there's equality across the board." I challenge them to say, "Show me the evidence of that."
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about evidence now.
Yeah.
But to prove to me that that is somewhere out here, because if it was, and it's to be, I think our show every time we come on would be about positive things. We have nothing negative. Not saying that our this show. Let me just put a disclaimer on that. Our show is about uplifting us. I'm not even going to put a label on it. Us. We know who us is.
That's right.
So, in saying that, the us needs to put ourselves in a position to where we become unconfused. We become to the point where we stop using the word hope as reference to what the situation that we're in now. We can use hoping to say, well, I hope I can lift this table and move it. Or I hope I can put those chairs all in one place. Yeah, I'll use hope in that aspect, but the hope that there's going to be some social equality. I mean, here we are in 2020, 21, I should say, because 2020 was kind of a 2020 Paul, Brother P, Minister P, 2020 was just it took us, it has, yeah, it's taken us out of, it's almost, we talk about, if we go back to 2020, it takes us out of the context of like, it's almost like you missed a year somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So as versus us moving along in this 2021, and we keep posting up social equality, we have to ask ourselves, what does that mean? And what are we looking for the social equality? Because we know in the type of society we live in, when we talk about economics, and economics, of course, really economics is really your time and energy.
Yeah.
The greater society look at economics as actually finances.
Yeah.
It just goes back to your time and energy, but they don't tell you that. We look at economics as being that, hey, where do I stand in this society as reference to a hierarchy level? Am I rich or am I poor? But economics is really time and energy. So social equality has to be defined amongst us. We have to be unconfused about what social equality is.
Right.
I don't, to me, to be honest, I don't really believe in that word. You've never even heard me use it up to this point. I'm speaking on it now on the basis of we need to figure out what social equality is within ourselves. Now we're saying it, and there's a particular group that we're saying it to.
Right.
Thing is, how do they define it, and then how do we define it?
Right. Well, you know what? I like how you qualified and said that our show is for us to promote us, and I like that, and I also like to always put in these vitamin E's of edify, empower, and encourage. We have to edify ourselves, empower ourselves, and then encourage ourselves. And once we take those and see these vitamin E's, you don't take, you give them. See, I'm here to edify you, my brother, encourage you, my brother, and empower you, my brother. And you have taken this platform and you're saying to the brothers and sisters in our community, I'm here to edify you all, and empower you all, and then encourage you all. And so we need that. And so that makes that word hope now come from a adverb into a noun. See, that's why I like to use that word hope as a noun instead of an adverb, because a noun is something that is solid and you can just carry it with you in your heart. I have a hope, as opposed to it being placed in the adverb. I hope I can do this, hope I can do that. The thing is, what keeps us going? Man, this is so amazing, Dr. K, what has kept us going all these years? You know, even from the beginning when the colonies first started, that hope that we're going to make it out of this. You said the year 2020 was, man, like it's like, remember as a kid, what I do as a kid, the teacher used to write on a blackboard, then she would take that eraser and erase all that stuff out. Well, that's how we feel as people, that we wish we could just erase 2020 and just wipe it away, man. Because
Let's look at it this way: was 2020 really not an erasing point in life? Was it supposed to be as it is 2020? Was that a time for us to get 2020 vision as reference to what's happening to us in society?
You better believe it. You better believe it.
Maybe we turn it into that aspect of saying that it's been erased off the board, and to say no, leave it up there.
Yeah, leave it up there.
Leave it up there. Leave 2020 up there. That way, I can have, as they say, what's the cliche? 2020 in hindsight, right?
Yeah.
In my 2020 hindsight, I wish I would have did this and that, and I hope I would have did. But if we leave 2020 up there, the reference to, hey, I'm going to get unconfused based on what happened in 2020.
Right.
2020 was a give me 2020 vision on reference to how I was supposed to move forward into the next position of my life.
Man, well said. I mean, because listen, we learn from our history. We learn from our mistakes. We learn that's what learning is all about. And learning produces a state of getting better. And so, yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. Listen, we learned so much from the year 2020 that now we have 2020 vision. And I am saying this to my Black community, my Black brothers and sisters, that now we are fully awake. We can see. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. Used to be a song like that one time, you know. And so we are now seeing clear. The confusion is leaving. The hope is increasing, and we're understanding our place now, what we have to do. And and this is what I love, Dr. K, is, man, we're realizing that nobody's going to do it for us. Nobody is going to do this thing for us but ourselves. Right. And so where we can edify and encourage and empower ourselves. I love that word empowerment, man, because that's something that once I have it, you can't take it from me.
Right.
You can't take it from me. It's just like the degree that you achieved when you went to college, can't nobody take that from you. That's yours for the rest of your life. And so this empowerment of self-awareness that we from the experience of 2020 that we received, man, is making us better in the year 2021. And this is how I'm seeing it. Listen, every war, some wars are long, but some battles are real quick. We can win some battles real quick, you know. And so that's where we're at right now. We're in the battle, but we're going to win the war. And I have hope that we are going to win that war, man. You know, and we are. As voices such as this platform and other platforms continue to reach people, man, we are going to get better and better and stronger and encouraged, man. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and you're right. Like I said, this platform is about, as we talk about platforms, Minister P, and as we discussed previously about platforms, I don't downplay any platforms that are out in society, but I do downplay platforms that do not uplift us.
Come on.
It's one thing to entertain us. It's one thing to give us some sense of a hope, to create a smile. I get that. But when you create a platform that has no substance, has no meaning,
Great word.
it's just out there for entertainment purposes, just to make you laugh for a moment, but it's not giving any true constructive lessons. And we know that things in society, things that we create in society become, let's say, just use entertaining. They become entertaining. We don't use these platforms. Some of our people don't use these platforms properly. They're looking for more of a, hey, look, I got a platform out here. Hey, so you see me, man? Hey, and then everybody gravitates. What we're doing for most people now, they say, "Oh, I don't need all that positive stuff going on in my ear," because they never experienced positive in the mind.
Yeah.
You see, so that goes right back into as far as the mental health we're dealing with. Again, not to tear down our people, to uplift, but at the same time, we got to understand we have mental issues. We're dealing with a mental state that has been altered.
Right.
So how do we get back to correcting our state of mind?
And
Where do we go?
That, yeah, we do that by wanting to go back to our mental health that we had once before. We're kings and queens, make no mistake about it. And so our mental health is essential for our success, our survival. And anything that takes away from our mental health, I'm like you, I don't like it. And so these other platforms that produce sensationalism, but no solutions. They get emotionalism, but no inroads. They produce stereotypes. I don't like that, man, because you're not building up the Black community to a point where we can go step by step to reach a measurable outcome. What's missing in our society is a measurable outcome. Are you achieving this? One of the things that I like about education is, along the way, I remember as a child, and I keep going back to a child because I'm 63 years old, so all these memories are there, Ken. but in the classroom, the teacher would walk around our desk and she would put a question on the board and we would write down the answer, and a math question, and we would formulate the answer. And she would walk around and see if we are getting the steps to the formula of reaching the right answer. And so she would say, yep, you're getting it. What she was looking for was a measurable outcome. Are we reaching our goals now? And so these silly platforms where you have shows that are just producing a lot of laughing, talking about body parts and all this stuff. That's not helping us grow. We need knowledge.
Yeah, we way behind for the most part in knowledge,
Yeah. Yeah.
and lack thereof because of improper teaching, improper leadership.
Yeah.
So many adversities that have been placed in front of us, where we're looking for detour roads to go down. So we're looking for roads. What other road can I go down to get out this rut that I'm in?
Yeah.
In all areas that we're in, as reference to society, this road that we're taking, as reference to now, this road that we're on with this, as far as the justice system that we're dealing with, in the confused state that we're in.
Yeah.
Here we are in the midst of reference to where we are. It's almost like we're getting ready to have a mirroring image of 2020 as reference to what happened last year, the incident that happened, and then here we looking for the judgment.
Yeah.
That goes back into confusion and hope again as far as judgment. Let's talk about judgment for a second, Mr. P.
Yeah.
Judge is to be judged by people. People make judgment.
Yeah.
Here's another one of those cliches. Oh, I don't want to judge anybody. If you can't judge them, how are you to judge them based on their, as they say, content and character, right? How can you measure them by that if you don't see their actions? If you're looking at their actions, then you got to make a judgment.
Yeah.
If you're looking at physically now, I'm physically looking at this person, I need to make a judgment on what I'm seeing in front of me. Saying all the time this person may act as such, but at the same time, I'm still watching his movement. What is his movement doing? How is he moving?
Well, it's like this, and this is true. You will know a tree by the fruit that it bears. Listen, an apple tree would never bear a pear. A pear tree would never bear a strawberry. So you will know the tree by the fruit that it bears. So if you're bearing evil, don't tell me don't judge my fruit because I'm seeing it, and then that affects me. So yes, I am going to judge your actions. I'm going to judge your fruit, and your actions and your fruit are guess what? They are an extension of your character. So when we start understanding this, I'm looking past your words, because your mouth will say anything. Always notice a mouth will say anything. But see, we judge the fruit that comes from that character. You use the word judgment, and so the term for judgment is the capacity to form an opinion or distinguishing and an evaluation from a person's actions. So listen, I'm gonna judge the fruit all day long. I don't care what people say. I am going to judge your fruit because it has a direct bearing on my mental health. And our mental health is so important because the way we are affected mentally affects how we conduct ourselves out in society. So we're slowly bringing ourselves back to a state of mental health. And this is what I love about the Black community. We're so resilient. We're so strong. We're slowly bringing ourselves back into a state of mental health, of mental repair, and a mental direction because of voices and platforms such as this one and others that are out there putting positiveness in our community, taking us away from confusion and bringing us to that state of hope. And I'm loving it, man. It's like McDonald's. Loving it. You know,
Well, let's look at that definition as reference to the law. I'm referring to the law dictionary that should be so readily handy to us as a
man.
community.
Yes,
You
that's
see
it.
this book displayed here, law dictionary,
We need that,
talking
y'all.
and we're talking about judgment or judge. It's one who conducts or preside over a court of justice. The function of judges is to determine controversies between parties. They are not adversary and or investigators. So making judgment on a situation that is at hand, you are the judge. You are to become the judge. You're to become the judge over your confusion, the judge over what type of hope
Come on now.
you're going to be into.
Yeah.
We all are judges. So those cliches that I don't want to judge him or I don't want to judge her, we have to. We have to judge them based off what their action is. Actions, as they say, action speaks louder than words.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a cliche that works.
Yeah, right. That's one of the cliches that need to stick all the time because we seeing in this society today, in the heightened, elevated sense of urgency that we're in right now within this country, we're seeing something that's being passed on us as judgment by another group of whatever group you want to call that. There's another group that's casting judgment on that particular group. It's going based off of what? Action. We're seeing their action. The actions that's being displayed in society, the actions that's being displayed by whatever point of society that you're looking at it. You're seeing those actions being displayed and the fruit that's being bared from that particular tree, as we reference to the tree being a actual human in a physical body. We're looking at that tree. What type of fruit is that tree bearing?
Right.
Is it bearing confusion? Is it bearing hope?
Right. And we can judge that fruit, and we must judge that fruit on a day-to-day basis. And listen, not only other people, we must judge ourselves now. We have to look at ourselves because we talked about this before. And the most important thing into transformation of any member of a community or society is self-awareness. You must look at yourself first and examine yourself and see what kind of fruit it is that I'm putting out there. I mean, just, hey, look, take the mote out of your eye and look at the other person. I mean, before you judge them, know that you're doing what's right. Know that you're bringing edification, empowerment, and encouragement to the situation or into someone's life. And once you found that you've done that, then make sure on a daily basis you're looking at that other person's fruit and letting them know. And don't be afraid to stand up and say, look, the fruit that you're showing me, you're showing the world, is harmful towards my mental health. Because this is what this is all about, our mental health. And so we need to examine the fruit that we're seeing from these different trees in society. Yeah,
absolutely correct. Yeah, we have many trees that's bearing, as I see, rotten fruit.
yeah.
Rotten fruit that we have to step over. It's like that tree that the apples fall off the tree, right? And it becomes rotten once it hits the ground. If you don't pick it right away or grab that fruit that has fallen from the tree, it becomes ripe, becomes rotten. So many fruit that has fallen from this tree has become extremely rotten. I give it the 3 T's, Mr. P. Tacky, terroristic, and it's become a little bit trashy.
Yeah.
Looking at what we see in society, bad taste, and at least my mouth. I never want to pass that particular judgment. on the situation to where, and here go another cliche to intertwine in what we're talking about.
Yeah.
They was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Who's in the place at the right time? You know, is the question. Who's in the place at the right time? Everybody's in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's nobody walking the face of this earth that will surpass that. So you mean to tell me, Paul, Mr. P, and we all grown folks here that's out in the airwaves, we're not children, right? Death. Let's speak of death. Death. There's nobody walking the face of the earth that's on the wrong or the right side of that. It's either that day is going to happen or it's not, right?
Absolutely. Well, you know, one of the things is no one deserves death. That's something that should come to us like natural, you know. Death caused by unnatural circumstances. No one deserves that. You know, that's why we always have to walk with our eyes wide open and not walk around with our eyes closed, just habitual. We have to live life. We have to be watchful of life. Watch comes before prayer. You have to see what's going on. You have to see what's going on. Listen, I want to go back to what we were talking about earlier. The two pillars of any society, Dr. K. The two pillars of any society is always economics, as you put it, and then education. But I like to put it education and then economics. Me and Dr. K always reverse these two things, but those are the two pillars of any society, and that's what produces a strong mental health, a state of mental health for us Black. I always love when you bring up the topic, and I don't know if this is the time for it or later on, but you always bring up the marketplace, and this is something that we must gain through education, which will bring forth our economic level to get much better. So those two things, man, are so intrinsic for our society, our community, and our personal growth and our mental health. Because listen,
so Minister P, just to interject real quick, and you say we go back and forth, you saying this verse and this last, right? I only look at the process that the reason why I say economics first and education second, because you need your time and energy to go into the education process.
Yeah.
That energy.
Yeah.
What energy do you have to go and proceed out to get to your educational process? And what time are you setting aside to go and educate you or someone else?
Yeah.
So I only reference the word because one, if we're spelling it, it comes first in the alphabet.
Yeah.
You got the economics with the EC, and the ed is the ED. So alphabetically, when you look at it in that order, is reference to when I talk about the 5 orders of the stepping stones to society and how it's perceived. When we talk about, we have the economics on the first level, we have politics on the second level, law on the third level, 4th level is media, 5th level is education. So all the 4th levels above the economics, they always are. All of them have to go back down to the first floor to get approval.
That education?
No, the first floor is economics. All
Okay.
4 above that have to go down to the first floor to get approval.
Okay. Yeah. Economics. So now, economics is a form of power.
Right.
Yeah.
So without power, anybody can educate you any kind of way. That's what we're seeing now. If you look at that, anybody can educate you any type of way they want if they have the power.
Right. Yeah.
They can give you whatever education you want. You want to learn about just throwing some dirt in the air? Okay. If that's going to help you. I'll show you.
Absolutely. And we're seeing that happen. right now in our school systems, um, which is the primary educational system other than the family structure itself. Um, um, the academic educational system. I always go back to, though, the foundational educational system, which is the family. Um, I always believe if you train that child up in the way that he should go, um, when he gets older, he will not depart, and he can always use that knowledge, use that experience. And see, we as a people, a Black community, we have a vast amount of knowledge and information just within our own culture. I remember coming up as a kid. We didn't have all of these medicines and all that, Dr. K. My mother used to you go give me that and just put that in your mouth and just swallow that. It was tasting nasty, but you wouldn't catch a cold. So all of these little symptoms and things, these things worked for us. These were the knowledges that our mothers and our ancestors all handed down to us. And we somehow got away from that. Now we're straight pharmaceutical. Whatever happened to our culture, that knowledge, bringing that, we got to get back to that education, training our community that way, and we're spending so much money with the pharmaceuticals. There's old time remedies, Dr. K, old time.
Yeah, we definitely need to get back to, as they say, grandma's, grandma's goods. Grandma's goods. Or they used to call it for things that cure colds. I know my grandmother made some. She had took wine candy and melted it down, and that was cough syrup.
Yep.
Most people call it the whole granddad. If you remember that, of course you remember that.
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
So those remedies right there definitely had some point of resolving our uh, process of sickness that we had in our bodies. Like I say, we tend to have strayed away from a lot of those old time remedies because grandma and grandpa have since moved on, and nobody has carried that torch. The last leg of carrying that torch, at least from in my stance, my mother, she has passed on, my father's still around, but the society has kind of strayed away from
It has.
us addressing, because it has geared us to become more busy um, outside of the home aspect, or even if some people do still lay that platform, but it's not. You don't see it as a whole. Nobody really brings it up or talks about it like they used to. Or you don't see it, at least as I don't see it like I within my family, the family gatherings that we do have. We see some sense of it, but it's like when those old matriarchs, when they pass on,
Exactly.
for a minute somebody tends to drop the torch.
Yeah.
Until it's actually if somebody refers back to it, and with as far as the remembrance, say, hey, remember grandma used to do this, or aunt so and so used to do that, or grandpa so and so used to do that. Then we need to get back to that.
Yeah. And Dr. K, we do need to do that. One of the um, uh, things that we can do right now, all of our listeners right now, what we can do is, for a solution, take the time right now, and if you have a grandparent, even your parents, go and sit down and talk with them about family history, about family medicines, about family community, how they used to walk and talk and act and things like that. Take a history. I advise everybody listening to us today to take a history lesson within your own home. Go to your grandmothers and grandfathers and parents and just talk about how it was and get a sense of what's going on. Right? Take notes.
Yeah,
Take notes.
you're right. Take notes, truly, and hope they will be in a position to give you that knowledge, because it's definitely needed in this time of confusion.
Yeah.
So we can come out, if we're going to use the term hope, we can grasp onto that word and use it in a loving manner, being able to embrace that word correctly.
Yes. Yeah. Therefore, that will bring edification, empowerment, and encouragement to a Black community that is now on a preference of moving forward. I see ourselves moving forward. And we're doing great things because the leadership now is becoming diversified. We are now becoming leaders. I always look at leadership like this. It's like a candle, and that candle will light another candle. But the thing about it, nothing is taken away from that flame. When you light another candle, you just produce another leader. And so leadership goes on in that type of format. A lot of people, if you give something away, I'm losing. No, you're not. You're gaining. You're gaining. The more you give away, the more you gain. And so when we look at leadership in life in that respect, the format that you're giving out right now to the community, we can overcome.
Yeah, definitely overcome that. Reference to great King stating that overcoming questions. These are questions. What are we overcoming? That's the thing. Are we? And the overcoming is to get out of confusion. State of confusion. That's what we need to overcome. Get out of the state of confusion. Get out of the state of using old cliches. Get out of the state
that don't
of
work.
right.
That don't work.
Right. Yeah, that don't work. Those old cliches of that don't work. Yeah, that can definitely be a hindrance to you if you don't overcome it. So it's reference to this show. I'm glad most people have, if you were able to tune in live, I thank you. We will be coming to you more often, as much as we can. We'll be bringing you more platform like this, more greatness like this. Today's show, and that was brought to you and sponsored by Wakana for Life. Wakana for Life is CBD oils that brings about health, which is your wealth. Creates your mental state to be in a better place. To www.keepthatsameenergy.wakana.com if you would like to be in a better state of mental state, in a better state of wealth, in a better state of mind. Greatly appreciate our listeners. Please definitely subscribe to us. For all our listeners out there, donate. Feel free to donate if you would like to, but definitely subscribe, like the video, leave comments. We welcome all comments. We welcome all suggestions to how we can become better and become a better platform for our community and for people in general. Just not our community, for people in general. What can we do to make this a better platform to where everybody can be, as Minister P said, edified properly, educated properly, and using our economics in the proper state of the body and the mind.
Peace and reality.
Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Dr. K. Wayne, and see you next week. Same time.
Same station.